The all-time lap record smashed yesterday by Pecco Bagnaia, but the best race lap still belongs to Gorgeous George. Jorge Lorenzo, 54.927, when he won here in 2016 on the Yamaha. Best overtaking manoeuvres? Well, certainly into turn 16. Have we had a bit of drama there before, I wonder? Coming up next, Pecco on pole. Will Ducati claim the Qatar headlines again? Fabio Cuatro leads the Yamaha quartet on his debut in factory colours. Maverick Viñales has a plan in place from third on the grid. And ahead of his 26th season in Grand Prix racing, Valentino Rossi qualifies fourth and aims for podium 200. I've already done the intro, but you couldn't hear me because my microphone was off. Good evening and welcome to Qatar for the Bawa Grand Prix of Qatar at the Lusail International Circuit. Steve Day, Matt Burt and Simon Crafar to bring you live coverage here of the first MotoGP race of 2021. And with it, we have a new face on pole. In his brand new factory Ducati colours, Pecco Bagnaia lines up on pole position alongside Quartararo and Viñales in one of the most unpredictable starts to a season you could ever wish for. We wait for the return of Marc Marquez. The world champion starts from 10th. The evergreen Rossi starts from 4th. And any one of 8 riders could win tonight. Does it get any better than that? Oh, and just to throw this into the equation, it's the most windy that it has been at any point during testing and throughout this weekend. Expect the unexpected, Matt Burt.
Yes, it was unpredictable, it was dramatic, it was thrilling in 2020. Let's hope we're in store for more of the same throughout the 2021 MotoGP World Championship. Under the night lights, the famous lights here in Qatar last night, well, it was very much loved by the factory Ducati team. Pecco Bagnaia, the 45th Ducati pole in the Premier class, his first in the MotoGP World Championship, first since he was world champion in Moto2 back in 2018, and they're all trying to wrestle the #1 plate off this man, who it's fair to say had a bit of an underwhelming start to the defence of his world title. Not gone smoothly at all for reigning world champion on the factory Suzuki, Joan Mir. Not finding confidence and comfort in the front end of that GSX-RR, which is normally one of his real strong points. There's work to do for the world champ, as Steve said, from the head of the 4th row in 10th place. Although, let's be honest, he's not really renowned and famed for being a great qualifier, is he? So in the past, when he's found himself mired down the field, he has been able to find a way through. Although tonight looks like it's going to be quite a complicated mission if you base your judgment on what we've seen so far from Mir. He's not been at the races, really.
No, he hasn't. The boy in blue has been singing the blues so far, but can that change today? Here he is then, Valentino Rossi, ahead of his 26th season. No longer a factory man in satellite colours. The fastest independent rider yesterday. I think that came as a surprise to him as he had to go into Parc Fermé. What can he do from 4th place on the grid? And you can hear we've got some fans back, and no surprise to hear a few cheers from them at the sight of the number 46.
Can you believe it? 46, about to start season 26 as a World Championship Grand Prix rider. Almost on the front row of the grid last night. He followed Pecco Bagnaia around on that last lap. Never lapped quicker around this Lusail International Circuit, Rossi, with a 53.114. It was just not good enough to put him on that front row. He starts 4th, a row ahead of his apprentice teammate, although no longer the apprentice really. We can't say that about this man. Franco Morbidelli, second in the World Championship last year. A bit frustrated last night though, late on in Q2 to be pushed off that second row. He knows he's going to have to be aggressive in the early laps to make sure he can go with what we expect to be quite a big group race. We don't think the pace is going to be hot at the start because of time management concerns towards the end of the race as Ducati try and defend a great record here. They won the last two, but that man, Andrea Dovizioso, the man who's done it, not here anymore, of course.
Yeah, the last time Yamaha won here was in the hands of this man, Maverick Vinales, 2017. He starts from the front row. He's done more practice starts than I think he's done laps. It's been unbelievable from Maverick Vinales, but can he deliver? So often last year during testing, during free practice sessions, he was fast, but on Sundays the question marks were raised. Can it be different? Both he and Fabio Cuatro were running together in this afternoon's warm-up. Was that part of the plan ahead for both he and Cuatro coming up in the race shortly?
And they know that they've got a speed differential against the factory Ducatis. There is the rapidly expanding skyline of downtown Doha, about 20 kilometres away from this famous Losail International Circuit. First joined the calendar, of course, back in 2004, host of the unique night race since 2008, now a mainstay of the World Championship calendar. And the good news is, of course, we're here for two races, a double header. So plenty to look forward to over the next 7 days or so. It's been a tough start to 2021 for everybody on a factory KTM, including this man, Brad Binder, of course. What an outstanding rookie season he had last year, including that breakthrough first victory in Brno. But the going been very tough indeed over the course of the last couple of days. Brad Binder starting from way back, 19th place on the grid. He said last night, and it hurt him to say it, he's hoping for a top 10. That would be an amazing result. He said, that makes me sick to the stomach saying that, but it gives you an indication of exactly where KTM are at in terms of this weekend's performance.
Fabio Cuatro looking to get back to winning ways. Since he won in Catalonia last summer, not been on the podium since. Great race pace, nearly got pole position as well. New hair colour, new team colours. He's a factory Yamaha rider now. He's expected to deliver results. Can he deliver the biggest result for Lynn Jarvis and Yamaha here tonight from second on the grid?
The Yamahas know that they have to make the start. Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller and Johan Zarco around them. They've got that brilliant launch system on the factory Ducati. Everybody expecting Bagnaia from pole position to take the whole shot. Jack Miller wasn't that perturbed about starting fifth last night. He said, well, we're a rocket ship off the line normally, and he expects, if Bagnaia nails a start, to be second going into the first corner. He's not too worried about Rossi, Cuatro and Vinales on the M1s around him, beating him on that drag to the first corner.
Jack Miller was a hot pick for pole position yesterday. It didn't quite go to plan for the Aussie, who was fastest, of course, in the most recent test here at the Losail International Circuit. He will start from the second row. Races have been won here from the second row before, including Dovi on the factory Ducati. Will it be Miller's night? You've got to believe, Matt, that the likes of Pecco Bagnaia on pole, Miller fifth, Zarco sixth, will be eyeing the shot to turn one in first place.
And a dream about to come true for this man, Pol Espargaro. He's dreamt for over 20 years about this very moment, being in the famous Repsol Honda livery. He said it's synonymous with success and with glory. Can he bring the glory days back to Repsol Honda? Incredibly, without Marc Marquez last year, the superpower HRC, for the first time since they returned to the Premier Class in 1982, did not win a single Grand Prix. And what about the factory Aprilia? A few people are actually edging their bets and thinking Aleix Espargaro, including himself, might actually figure prominently in the podium battle tonight on a rapidly improving RSGP, which is completely brand new from the ground up.
Well, with the likes of Espargaro, Zarco here, all the riders we've seen before the Frenchman on our screen, Matt, we know better than to predict the future in MotoGP. Last year, 9 different winners in 14 races, and I don't think anyone that we've spoken to really has any idea as to which way this is going to go.
No, everybody's saying that potential race-winning candidates for tonight, it runs into double figures. That's how deep the field is in terms of talent. There's so many strong motorcycles out there now as well. One of them in the hands of this young man, Alex Marquez, who was quite strong in the windy conditions in warm-up earlier on tonight, inside the top 6, qualifying yet again the bugbear for the younger Marquez sibling. Just really can't find the rhythm and confidence on a soft rear tyre, and what adds to those problems, of course, is the fact that the Ducatis and Yamahas are so good and so strong over one lap. It tends to leave the younger Marquez brother a little bit further back than perhaps his race potential suggests.
They head out then on their sighting lap to get to the grid. Luca Marini, one of 3 rookies ahead of their MotoGP debuts, of course. Bastianini and Martin also. Brad Binder is a Sunday man, but he's got more than a job on his hands, as we mentioned a minute ago.
It has not been a happy hunting ground for KTM, this Losail International Circuit. They've never had a top 10. They'll be hoping to change that. Fist pumps all around them. We've seen that a few times already this weekend. There'll be chest thumping going on very, very shortly as well. Paolo Ciabatti, the Ducati Sporting Director, the technical boss, the big boss of the Ducati Corsa, Gigi Dall'Igna, just passing on their wishes for Jack Miller. Can Ducati win for a 3rd season in a row? Jack Miller, coming into this race weekend, felt like he'd not had, or never had, a better chance of winning in the dry for the first time. I just wonder though whether this dramatic sudden change in the conditions with this strong gusting wind around, whether it's certainly going to throw a curveball to a lot of riders, but we know that the Ducatis do struggle in windy conditions.
They do. Has the wind died down a bit? That's the big question, because when the sun sets here, you do tend to get a drop in wind. The MotoGP riders will certainly help. So here goes El Diablo. He's got to try and find that consistency that he had in his rookie season if he's to challenge this year. And who knows what's in store for this guy. So often on a Sunday, Matt, Valentino Rossi has delivered when you least expect it. He delivered when we least expected it yesterday. Is it going to be podium 200?
I've been fortunate enough to be part of this Grand Prix circus since Valentino came into the paddock in 1996, so I'm certainly going to be the last person to write him off and say he's not going to be fighting for the victory tonight, because you write that guy off at your peril. I would not put it past him at all in making it 200 MotoGP podiums, which he's been stuck on for quite some time now. And talking of podiums, can you believe it as well? The factory Suzuki team have never had a podium finish here in Qatar. Is their best prospect potentially Alex Rins coming from the back of the 3rd row?
The tyre allocation for Michelin is pretty simple. The hard tyres have only been used in the daylight. Mediums were considered early on, but we are expecting the entire grid to go for the soft front, soft rear. We'll have a look at those Michelin rain tyres, I'm sure, at some point in 2021, but it's doubtful that we'll have it in the next week or so. Of course, we return to Qatar here again next week. The circuit looking resplendent under the night lights, with downtown Doha 20 kilometres down the road. We're so pleased to get ourselves back on road again here, to get ourselves on track. Our thanks to the Losail International Circuit for hosting us. Our thanks, of course, to Dorna, to IRTA, to the FIM. We are ready to go racing in March again.
We really are. And what's going through the mind of this young man, Pecco Bagnaia, the 24-year-old Italian? Such a great opportunity to have already taken his maiden victory in that second Misano race last year when he crashed out of a pretty comfortable lead, what, with 5 or 6 laps to go. He's going to want to make sure he gets the job done tonight and have a perfect start to the new chapter in his career, picked up by the factory Ducati squad, an all new look Ducati squad, of course. No Dovizioso, no Petrucci. Ducati very much in 2021 investing in youth and future promise, with the likes of Jorge Martin, Enea Bastianini and Luca Marini being brought in as rookies as well.
Bagnaia likes riding solo. He likes to make his own lines, and when everything's going well for him, the lines he has on this Ducati are different to anyone else. And he's got some great speed. His best chance is getting to turn 1 in P1.
And how will the Ducatis approach it? If Bagnaia or Miller leads early doors, are they going to gamble and risk it and potentially try and escape and manage it as the grip wears off, or are they going to lock down into Dovi mode? Andrea Dovizioso has won the last 2 Qatar Grand Prix at the slowest pace he possibly could, because he knew if he went gung-ho from the start, he was going to have grip problems towards the end and struggle to finish anywhere near the podium. Dovizioso, of course, though, was a pretty experienced, wily old campaigner. Not so for the likes of Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller. They would have discussed tactics, of course. It would have been a big part of the pre-session build-up with the management. It's going to be fascinating to see how they do tackle it.
Yeah, some riders have got no choice but to go for it in the early stages, including this man here, Franco Morbidelli, who's starting from 7th. A brilliant end to 2020, but all of his podiums came from the front row. He's on row 3, 7th. The Italian, the runner-up, in MotoGP 2020.
Well, he wanted the race to start at 5 p.m. local time, didn't he? Because he was great in the hottest conditions of the day. First front row then in MotoGP, or first pole position for Pecco Bagnaia. He's got factory Yamaha company with Cuatro and Vinales on that front row. Valentino Rossi in fourth place ahead of what was sure to be the fast starting Jack Miller and Johann Zarco, who broke the new top speed record in MotoGP last night, an astonishing 222.5 miles an hour. Franco Morbidelli then 7th out of Aleix Espargaro. A lot of people think Espargaro might fight for the podium. Alex Rins and Joan Mir, what can they do from 9th and 10th? We know how good the Suzuki is at managing its tyres towards the end of the race. Nakagami 11th, out of Pol Espargaro in 12th, out of his factory Honda debut. Enea Bastianini was just 5,000ths of a second away last night from Q2. What a ride by him. Jorge Martin, fellow rookie, starts ahead of Miguel Oliveira. Alex Marquez, Stefan Bradl continuing to deputise for the absent Marc Marquez in 17th, ahead of Luca Marini. What a night for the Marini-Rossi family, with the two brothers on the grid for the first time together in MotoGP. Binder, Petrucci and Lecuona, it's an all KTM Road 7, with the second of the Aprilias in the hands of Lorenzo Savadori on row 8.
Carmelo Espeleta and George Viegas on the grids. Many dignitaries as well. Pecco Bagnaia there, just looking cool, calm, trying to compose himself for the first time in his MotoGP career. He lines up on pole position. The Ducati Lenovo team, of course, so many changes in that team after the departure of Andrea Dovizioso and Danilo Petrucci. Let's get the thoughts then of Wilco Zeelenberg. What's he expecting tonight from his man who was runner-up last year, Morbidelli from 7th, and of course Rossi starting from 4th, and also an update on the wind, I'm sure. Down to you, Simon.
Yeah, speaking of wind, Steve, it's dropping a little. I think you feel the same. And Wilco, what's going through your mind with your two riders at the moment?
Well, actually, I have to go to the front for the Prime Minister, but both boys are ready, and we need to thank him and because of our vaccination.
Okay, sorry. Good luck.
Thanks for that, Simon. So Wilco Zeelenberg heading over to the front. Thanks to the state of Qatar going on down at the front at the moment. There's Valentino Rossi and the riders. Viegas there all head over to say thank you. There's been a vaccination rollout here in Qatar, and of course they've been so welcome to us as we get ready for the show tonight. It is indeed time to shine here in Qatar. The support from the state of Qatar is most welcome. We cannot wait to go racing here tonight, and of course next week as well. We talked about Suzuki's and their chances. Of course, they were world champions last year. They've managed podiums before from where they are starting tonight. What are the thoughts then of Sahara-san, of his two riders, Mir and Rins? They start 9th and 10th tonight. Over to you, Simon.
Yes, Sahara-san, with everybody speaking to me about the life of the tyre being very difficult in this race, we know how good your machines are and your riders at conserving the tyres. I can't help but feel you have still a podium chance here tonight.
Yeah, the grid position of us, Alex for 9th for Alex and 10th for John, are not ideal for us, but they are very good, in very good shape, and also they have the good pace for the race. And if they can starting good as usual, and I hope we can fight for the podium.
Best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, best of luck to Shinichi Sahara there and the Suzuki team. A few people actually picking out Alex Rins over Joan Mir to potentially fight for the podium, but I wouldn't rule out anything from Joan Mir. He is, after all, the world champion.
Yeah, well, we know Alex Rins is my pre-season pick for the championship. So let's hope that's not jinxed him. Johann Zarco then last night, blitzing through the speed traps here in Qatar, an incredible 364.2 kilometres an hour. That's just over 225 miles an hour. That won't be happening tonight in the race because there's quite a fierce headwind blowing the other side down the start-finish straight. We just looked at one promo at Ducati, man. Let's go to another one ahead of his MotoGP debut. I'm sure he's a little bit nervous, but there's a man down there to cool his nerves. Simon Grayfar with Jorge Martin. Over to you guys.
Jorge, so far on your MotoGP debut, you've been awesome, really, really good. There's 8 MotoGP riders behind you, your first time on the grid. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling great. So nervous about my first race here. Yeah, today will be tough because for sure, keeping the pace for 22 laps will be difficult. But I think we can do great, and depends a lot on the start. But my target is to finish, to learn, and yeah, try to get good tires at the end. Will be a really good point. So yeah, try to learn as maximum as possible.
Thanks, Jorge. Best of luck.
Yeah, thanks to Jorge Martin. He's got so much to learn, hasn't he, coming into this race, but already done a great job.
I'm sure the team have just said, look, stay on board, learn, see the checkered flag, and that'll be job done. I tell you what, there's something uniquely special about this moment of the season. When we're on the grid ahead of the first race, you can see there's those extra nerves, the extra tension, the special atmosphere. Aleix Espargaro there, I mean, there's nothing that he hasn't really seen in his career. He looks pretty tense and tight going into the first race. Valentino Rossi, even the most experienced, they'll all be nervous. They'll all have butterflies churning in those stomachs.
Yeah, they certainly will. Here is Joan Mir. You just saw Alex Rins a moment ago. Don't forget, Alex Rins won in Aragon from 10th place on the grid. We know it can be done. That's what Joan Mir will be hoping for from 10th. Alex Rins starts in 9th, but a good start is key.
Yep. Risky as well, though, on a dirty track offline to be coming through from that 4th row. Nobody will know that more than this man, Pol Espargaro, as we mentioned, for over 2 decades. He's dreamt of this very special moment. A special moment in so many riders' career. It's almost like the holy grail, isn't it, getting into Repsol Honda? Well, now he's got that opportunity. Last night in qualifying, he said he didn't really keep his cool and composure. There was far too many mistakes overriding the front end. I'm sure the message from Alberto Puig and his crew chief Ramon Alrin is exactly the same as it is to this man. Stay on board, you need miles, you need kilometres to gain some experience, and that will be the main mission.
Let's go down onto the grid then and find out what Davide Tardozzi makes of this, of course. Victorious here in Qatar, twice with Dovi in our last 2 visits. He's got 2 men fighting today. Bagnaia on pole, Miller 5th. Tardozzi's with Simon on the grid.
I am. Davide, can you give the listeners an idea what's happening tonight, like with the different conditions that often affect the Ducati, and is it going to take away any of your advantage, you think?
Honestly, I do not know if this wind will affect more Yamahas that has less top speed but very fast on the corner, or us that we are very fast on the straight. I do not know. For sure, the wind is the same for everybody, so we are not to be scared and try to play our cards and try to do the best. And I'm sure that the riders are on the right mood.
Thank you, Davide.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Davide Tardozzi. Can Ducati make it a hat-trick of wins here in Qatar? The tyre selection seems pretty simple, and just as we expected with these cooler conditions, everybody on the grid, all 22 riders, soft Michelin front, soft Michelin rear tyre.
That's easy enough. Level playing field ahead of the first race of the season. The Prime Minister of Qatar is ready to watch this one. Down on the grid, Simon Crayfar's grabbing a word with Monster Energy team manager Massimo Merigali. Both his men on the front row. What can they do today, Simon?
Yeah, both his men on the front row and looking really strong in that windy session, windy warm-up, fastest. And what is going through your mind? What do you think the challenges will be for them tonight?
Yeah, it will be crucial to have a really good start. and we have to really maximize our potential. If we can be first and second and maybe third on the first corner, I think we can really try to lead the race using Yamaha line, and this will be, I think, the best for us. For sure it won't be like that, and we expect the Ducati, especially at the beginning of the race, to be very strong on the straight. But as far as we check the results, they might have a drop on the tire, so there is where we should try to attack.
There's been talk of your two riders working together if it's possible, not holding each other up and helping each other slipstream on the straight. Is that true?
Yeah, they know what they have to do, don't worry.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Simon Crowfar. Here's Stefan Bradl, of course, continuing to replace Marc Marquez. You just saw there Rin's machine, the front wheel being changed. I don't know if this is just a bit of a ploy. Last year, a few times, they sent a couple of mechanics legging it up pit lane to almost pull wool over the eyes. Whether they're just trying to force somebody else into a change, we'll find out shortly. I'd be surprised if Alex Rins has gone for anything other than a soft front Michelin.
So are Yamaha going to be proved right? They think that there may be a drop-off in grip towards the end of the race for some of the factory Ducatis. They'll be certainly hoping so, because it might make life slightly easier for the likes of Fabio Cuatro, Maverick Vinales, Rossi and Morbidelli. What a moment in this young man's life. He must have never thought in his Grand Prix career he'd be lining up on the same grid as his older brother Valentino Rossi, but here he is. It's the reality. Luca Marini will be racing alongside Valentino Rossi in a MotoGP race for the very first time. What a special night for the Marini and Rossi family.
Yeah, he wasn't even born when Rossi made his debut in Grand Prix. He was 2 when Rossi made his debut in the Premier class, and here they both are in 2021. Now then, we mentioned Aprilia, we mentioned Aleix Espargaro. It looks like finally they've got the weapon to fight. What's expected of Aleix Espargaro? His crew chief, Antonio Jimenez, is down on the grid with Simon Crowfar.
He is. Antonio, big chance it feels like for you tonight. What do you think is possible for Aleix? I imagine if he can go at the beginning, he can stay there.
Yeah, it's the only way. So we show that we have the pace. It's true that today is one difficult situation, because with the wind, with this bike still, I remember in the first shakedown test, we had some difficulties, but anyway, the wind is there for everyone, the cold is there for everyone, and if we make a good start, we have the pace enough to be in the good group. This will be the key of the race.
Last question for you, tyre drop. We know a little bit about all the other manufacturers' tyre drop. What about the Aprilia?
Well, we have it's two factors. We have a tire drop or tire consumption. I think there is a difference. So we have a little bit maybe consumption on the tire, but we don't have a big drop. I mean, this is the key probably, because if you have a drop, that the lap time also drop. So we cross the finger.
Great news. Good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, best of luck. Thanks to Antonio Jimenez for talking to us. Aprilia looking to try and wow us at the start of this season. There's always a Portuguese fan in the crowd somewhere, isn't there, cheering on Miguel Oliveira wherever we go around the world.
We just saw there Maverick Vinales looking very pensive. He says he thrives under pressure. Well, it doesn't get much of a bigger pressure cooker environment than the first Grand Prix, the first grid of the season. Fabio Cuatro looking pretty relaxed. No obvious hangover from his slump towards the back end of last year, where he really faded badly. Just 19 points scored in the last 6 races of last season. This was a young man, of course, who started 2020 in such fantastic fashion.
Lovely little nod there to Fausto Grassini, wearing the replica Fausto Grassini helmet is Lorenzo Savadori, of course, for the Aprilia racing team. Were managed, of course, by Fausto himself. What can they do in his memory here today?
Well, soon it's time for the talking to stop, and when the flag drops, we're going to find out who are going to be the main men in the 2021 MotoGP World Championship. We've been so looking forward to this moment for 4 months since that Portuguese Grand Prix in Portimao. This is a tough one to call.
Really, really is. So many riders looking, of course, to get themselves back on track. Jack Miller not won since 2016. Look, you can see there that famous race in Assen. He wants to put that record right. Definitely possible. He was the fastest in the test, but no one knows what to expect here. Fascinating. I don't think, Matt, we've ever started a MotoGP season where it genuinely is so tough to call. There's always been 1 or 2 riders that you naturally go to and say it's going to be, I don't know, Mark or Dovi. it's just really, really impossible, this one. Any one of 8 riders.
Yeah, and of course, we've got this wide open competition at the start of the year, and we've still got the mouth-watering prospect of a certain number 93, Marc Marquez, planning an imminent return on the factory Honda. Portimao could be the return of the giant. April the 18th, a note for your diaries, that could be the racing return for Marc Marquez. He'll undergo a medical check on April the 12th. But in the present, it's all about Joan Mir starting the defence of his MotoGP World Championship, which he won in that second Valencia race. Now, seems like a long, long time ago, doesn't it? I'm sure it's still pretty fresh in his memory.
It's not gone to plan so far here in Qatar for the world champion, but he can put that right here, because this is when it all starts to really matter. Pecco Bagnaia on pole position. It says go free on the back of his leathers. Will he go free and lead into turn 1? And will anyone be able to stop him? Jack Miller, the thriller, from the second row. There has been no one better from the starts than him when they've been doing practice starts here under the night lights.
He says he's ready. He looks ready to try and win that first dry Grand Prix and have the perfect start to his chapter as a factory Ducati rider. We're certainly ready for the action here in 2021.
Here is your front row in MotoGP for the first race of 2021. Maverick Vinales on the Monster Energy Yamaha third. His teammate Fabio Cuatro starting from second on the grid. And on pole position, looking to make it a hat-trick of wins for the factory Ducati team here in Qatar, is the Italian Pecco Bagnaia, number 63. The Barwa Grand Prix of Qatar is on the way.
The sun is set, the stage is set, and we're set for MotoGP in 2021. Pecco Bagnaia starts from pole position for the first time in his Premier Class career. On the front row with the 2 factory Yamahas, Fabio Cuatro and Maverick Vinales. Valentino Rossi's 26 World Championship campaign starts from the head of the second row, ahead of Jack Miller and Johann Zarco. Keep an eye on Franco Morbidelli from the head of row 3 and 7th. The world champion Joan Mir with work to do from 10th. The rookies Bastianini and Martin go from 13th and 14th place. What about the KTMs? Can they rescue anything from a bitterly disappointing qualifying session? But here we go, folks. MotoGP 2021 warm-up lap is about to get underway. We can barely contain our excitement here in the commentary box, mate.
No, this is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for. 126 days since we went racing in Portugal. And it all comes to this. 2021 starts now. The last practice start out of the way. The next one